Yellow. Yellow. Should be good to go. Let's talk some sports. Do we have some topics to get into? What's next in combat right now after this past weekend from UFC 309? What's to come? What type of matchups are people going to have? What are some news? What is some news that's happening in the sport today? And we're going to be talking about a couple of things. The first thing I do want to get into is Bo Nickal versus Khamzat Chimaev. Now, a lot of people have been talking about how Bo's not ready for a Khamzat, and I'm not necessarily saying that. Oh, go throw Bo in there right now against Khamzat, and let's go and see how he does. Dude's 7 fights into his career. Now, if we're going back to when Khamzat was 7 fights into his career, let's actually do that, okay? Because I had just pulled it up. Meant to keep it up. My apologies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He had just gotten into the UFC and made his debut in his 7th fight in his career. His 5th fight, I'll give you. Ikram, Aliskerov or whatever. That dude's in the UFC today, which is actually a good win out of Brave FC. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, that Bo Nickal is 7 fights into his career, and that's when Khamzat Chimaev just got into the UFC, just made his debut. Let's not act like that's not reality. The reality of that is that Bo in wrestling, in my opinion, Bo has better credentials when it comes to wrestling. 3-time national NCAA champion in a row. I mean, what? I think Khamzat, I'm not sure if he got gold or bronze. I cannot necessarily fully recall. I tried to look it up real quick. Let me see if I can find that. I think he was a bronze. No, he's not, but he did wrestle. Okay. That's what I thought. I knew he wrestled. I didn't think that he didn't have a bronze because I actually just said I thought he did have a bronze. Oh, we're going to move past that part. Regardless, Khamzat Chimaev, 7 fights in. That's literally his UFC debut. And we're talking about Bo Nickal, who had just beat a dude who had faced Magomed Ankalaev and a former champion in Jamal Hill. And why are we even putting them in the same stratosphere, in the same conversation? Bo Nickal is absolutely correct. If you even go look at a Khabib's record, a Demetrius Johnson's record, a John Jones record, any of the greatest of all time, at 7 fights into your MMA career, they're not doing it like him. They're not facing guys. They're not putting a test like he is against a Paul Craig. Now, I also love this about Bo Nickal. The thing that I love about him is the fact that he's not going to cater to the MSG New York fans that are going to boo him. And he's not necessarily going to allow someone to take him out of his game plan and his fight IQ. He's always thinking of what is the greatest thing that I can do to limit my opponent's offense and to give myself the best chance to win. Now, he did exactly that. Why would I put my opponent in a position for their best offensive weapon? I don't necessarily think that it was, oh, I'm afraid I can't necessarily do any BJJ against Paul Craig. I'm shit out of luck. I don't think that was the case. Go look at him and Gordon Ryan when they were rolling before he got caught. The fact is that Bo Nickal is smart enough to not put himself in danger. Why put yourself in harm's way in a gamble, a game of rolling the dice? Now, rolling the dice, you want the best odds. That's why you train. That's why you prepare. That's why you put in the work. That's what Bo Nickal does. But fight IQ is very important. Why would I put myself in a position where my opponent has the best position to win? When you know Paul Craig's best weapon is to throw up a triangle to try to catch a submission, why would I take him down? So, in my point of view, Bo Nickal really, really showed out because he did exactly what people thought he could not do, which was strike for 3 rounds and go 15 minutes without having to take someone down. Now, the flip side of that is, why didn't he take him down and just, lean on what he's so great at and just go ahead and submit him? Well, you also need to challenge yourself and grow. It's not about the quickest MMA time. It's not the quickest round time. It's about growing, developing, and gaining that experience. So then when you do get to the top guys, Khamzat, Chimaev, then you have a real opportunity to actually get it done instead of being force-fed these top dudes based on hype and not your experience in the octagon or in the gym. So full credit for Bo Nickal. Totally love and respect it. Totally love and respect what you're doing. And I love the subtle joke of, they weren't booing for me. When do you ever get the opportunity for a whole arena like Madison Square Garden to chant your name? Bo. I thought that was really funny. I don't think a lot of people caught that there. Regardless, love to see what he's going to be doing in the future. And if you didn't see my tendency thoughts on him, go ahead and check out that clip. American wrestlers, dog, y'all dip. Could get caught with that head kick. I'm not lying. So moving on after that, look, top 3, the pound for pound. Do we even need to do this? Do we need to talk about this? Do we really need to have a conversation? Does anyone at ESPN, does the AI bot, does anything need like a whole conversation of like, hey, well, you were saying that Jon Jones doesn't deserve number 1 because of inactivity. Well, then he came back and knocked out the top dude who's he's contending, bro. He's contending for it. And you're going to go ahead and when he returns and knocks him out, the dude contending, Stipe Miocic, for a fucking belt, we're not putting him number 1. Can anyone in their right mind tell me why we're not putting Jon Jones as number 1 on the pound for pound list and that Alex Pereira is number 1? And there's no offense to Alex Pereira. I'm a huge fan, but we saw what Jon could do to Stipe. Are we not going to see the same thing against Alex Pereira? Can he put his hands on him? Can he get in close? Can he get in tight? I think that would probably be the only thing and the only anticipation from all of the fans, because we know when Jon puts his hands on him, who's going to be on the ground. And if I'm being honest with you, Jon takes the approach of trying to beat every opponent at their best game, their best point, their strongest option. Took down Chael Sonnen. You get what I'm saying? Submitted Rampage Jackson. Outstruck Stipe Miocic. He tries to attack what you're best at to show you and prove that he is so much better than you. And I think that this might be a similar example if he doesn't go the grappling route. If he does try to stand up and trade with Alex Pereira, I think that would, in its own right, we would all be getting a fucking fantastic bout. Oh my God. Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira in a stand-up, basically kickboxing MMA bout. That would be beautiful. I think all of us fans would want that. After Tom, of course. After Tom. We have to see Jon versus Tom. It's inevitable at this point. And I really hope that the UFC walks in with a big old bat and drops that shit right there. Just go ahead. Much appreciated, Jon. We need you to face Tom. You can have Alex after that, as long as, you go ahead and face Tom right here. And we try to have no disputed title right now, because technically this is what I have seen a couple of people talking about. And Chael Sonnen is very, very notorious for bringing this up numerous times, where you have a champion and you have an interim. As soon as the champion fights, the interim is stripped. Well, in this case, Tom Aspinall was not stripped. So we have a disputed heavyweight championship. And it's not undisputed because we still have an interim champion. He wasn't stripped. It wasn't taken away. So what is going to happen? John Jones defended the disputed heavyweight championship, or is he going to go in there and challenge Tom Aspinall? No, or wild card. I've heard this thrown around a couple of times. Now, personally, I've always thought this. John's competitiveness, he's not necessarily just going to walk away free and willy-nilly, all that, into the sunset. Like, we'll never hear from him again. No. We will. I think that there's two possibilities. One, he walks away, gives Tom Aspinall the championship. Go ahead, defend it, prove yourself. Maybe I'll come back and fight you. That is my honest perspective. And that was before I started to hear some of these rumors or just some of the fodder and talk from people in his camp or someone that knows him, who's buds with him, whatever the case is. This might be a real legitimate idea. John walks away from the sport a little bit. About a year. Vacates the belt. Lets Tom have it. Tom and Alex fight. How fucking crazy would that be? Gordon Ryan kind of played it out or said it perfectly that wouldn't it be best that they just duke it out and the winner gets John? That's not the worst option for a John Jones, okay? Because then you got to see what Tom is all about with a dude like Alex Pereira. You go and do something to him at heavyweight. Well, then maybe that entices a John Jones to come back and go ahead and take you out. Or Alex Pereira coming up, fighting Tom. He actually does something, knocks Tom out. Then you got an Alex versus John at heavyweight. These are all just a possibility based on the rumors and the talk from people in his camp or online, okay? How beautiful would that be? Whether John walked away, gave Tom the belt, and then we get a Tom and Alex matchup, or Tom and John actually get to fight and we get an undisputed heavyweight champion. And then if John wins, well, shit, to be honest with you, if Tom wins, then we're probably going to get a rematch, I'd assume, because John wants his get back. I can't imagine he'd just be, okay, I'm going to retire now on a loss. And then if not, Tom versus Alex is amazing. And then if John wins, we would get John versus Alex because Dana said that he would get what he wants. Ultimately, to me, now that Stipe and John have finally fought, this should have been happened last year, but due to the pectoral tear, kind of delayed everything. John Jones is finally in the position, balls in your court. We don't have to rely on the Stipe matchup. We do finally get to see what's the UFC going to do. Are they going to dump a bag, say, here's some life-changing money? If anyone's going to be able and be deserving of it other than Conor McGregor, it's John fucking Jones, okay? UFC better get this done, because if they fumble the bag on this, if they really fumble the bag, it's going to be 2 in a row out of 3, like, because they should have got Fedor, but there was some wildness behind the scenes apparently with that, so not even going to touch that one. And then Francis going to the PFL and kind of missing out on a John Jones and Francis Ngannou matchup that will never happen because they're tied to that brand over there. And Dana and the brass at the UFC want nothing to do with that promotion. So it is a little funny. Ultimately, I don't know why John is not number 1 on the pound for pound list. Why is Alex Pereira number 1? And how is Islam Makhachev number 3? Let me take that one back, actually. Islam should be number 3. Alex should be number 2. And John Jones should be number 1. In my personal opinion, Alex Pereira is just so fun to watch. He's just not beating a John Jones, man. Not the way that he was able to just trip Stipe and manhandle him. Unless just somehow you figure it out. Maybe you are the MMA math that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Very interesting, though. Now, after the pound for pound list and after the Bo Nickal, Khamzat Chimaev dream matchup, there's a couple of things I do want to talk about because this, I think, is very important. I talked about this a couple of videos, or not videos, a couple of clips ago. I'm sorry. That one championship is done now that Demetrius Johnson is retired. And I now double down on it because Mikey Musumeci is now with the UFC in their what is it? Internet or not international? Fuck, their grappling thing on the Fight Pass. I can't remember exactly what the hell they call it. Regardless, they signed Mikey Musumeci from one championship, took their biggest star other than the Rotolo brothers, and again, they are going to just try to dominate the BJJ space with all of these smaller tournaments like ACC. Then you got the Craig Jones National or whatever. There is a lot of uncertainty when it comes to BJJ or submission grappling or the grappling space entirely because Mikey Musumeci went on Ariel Helwani. He's kind of always talked about this, to be honest with you, but obviously you signed the UFC, you come from one championship, you're one of their biggest stars. It's going to be another headline other than Demetrius retiring, the Ritter talking shit about them, Sage Northcutt's gone. I've seen multiple fighters when it's whether kickboxing, MMA, more MMA than kickboxing and Muay Thai from one championship, but a lot of them complaining that they can't get fights. Not Mikey. Mikey took the high road, did not complain, did not shit on one championship at all, unlike the Ritter. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're seeing the same narrative from all of these different fighters, and it's the same over and over and over and over, other than a Mikey Musumeci or a Demetrius Johnson, because they're classy, they're going to take the high road. They're not going to start talking shit about the organization. He had very good words for about Chatri, the owner and CEO of One. But man, in generalities, talking about the sport and BJJ and submission grappling, the steroid issue, legitimizing the sport, having actual fucking matches that aren't canceled consistently. He was in camp for a whole year, which apparently led to the deterioration of his kidneys, or I'm sorry, not kidneys, lung, and collapsed during his match. And after the match, they had found out. He could have, or it didn't collapse, but it could have collapsed if he had went into the bout because of the fuckery that one championship did. He was supposed to fight one of the Rotolo brothers, I think it was Cade, and before he went to MMA, and basically he was the champion. Cade fell through because of the Craig Jones Invitational. I think he did that, won it, and he had some sort of injury leading into their bout, so he had to cancel. Then they switched the opponent, and then Mikey tried to make the hydration clause, but because of the injury that they were unaware of, and even the one medical team couldn't find, he had to basically pull out. And the doctor said, after he pulled out, that if they had caught him and he went into that bout, he would have had a collapsed lung and possibly have died just a minute after. Very, very scary. Now he's in ONE FC, or not ONE FC, sorry, from ONE FC, now signed to the UFC, and the, was it Submission Grappling and Invitational or something for the UFC's Fight Pass? Not exactly sure what they call it, but he is now one of the biggest stars, taken from ONE FC. Demetrius retired, De Ritter's gone, Anatoly just lost his belt. No idea what's going on over there. Rod Tang just got stripped because of not being able to make the hydration clause. Oh, Musumeci even talked about the hydration clause, that you can cheat it from just taking a bunch of electrolytes because it's just a salt test in your urine. There's so much coming out about one championship that I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole if they were asking me to sign a contract. I don't understand. They were in prime position to be a number 2 in my personal opinion. But I think probably money, investment, budgeting. Mikey mentioned a lot of budgeting issues. Now, he didn't ever specify one, but he mentioned that in his BJJ practicing career, the fact that every single promotion he would run into the same thing. no drug testing, so a lot of steroids, no legitimate consistent events and any consistency with the athletes, and then the shady promotions or the budgeting. Like, you can't get a fight because budget. Like, that seems absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, the UFC is not going to have these problems. That one championship, PFL, Bellator, shit, those two aren't even in the fucking game for any submission grappling. So regardless, very, very sad to see it because I love their Muay Thai. I love their kickboxing. But the fact is, you can't organize and sign all this all these different contracts with these fighters and not even be able to honor them or even put on an event. I'm sorry. Look, Chatri, that's just embarrassing. As CEO, if my top fighter is asking me to fight and I'm the one that has to pay them, and I say, hey, we can't put you on because of budgeting issues, that sounds like a real fucking problem. Now, again, Mikey did not come outright and say, hey, XYZ shit about one championship. But if you read between the lines, it's not good. It's not good. Multiple people have left. DJ, their biggest stars, retired. I don't know. It's not very good. The excitement of kickboxing and Muay Thai, though, I do love that. I'm gonna move on and just kind of wrap it with the one championship talk with that. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm very disappointed with them and how they've ran it. You'd expect, being over in the West, or in the East actually, because they're Asia, they would have been able to figure this out better. They don't even give American dollar bonuses unless they're in the States. So you're not even like living up to some crazy amount that you're giving out to these guys. And a lot of people shit on the 50K from the UFC anyways. So what are you doing? All right. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, 108 million viewers. Apparently that has to be legit. And it is not with any pay-per-view model, only based on their subscription to the Netflix app. And if you have an account, you were able to watch the fight for free. I know a lot of people had a lot of buffering issues, but that will go down as the most viewed combat sport. Women's boxing, all of the above. And you even have to account, not 108 million people saw it. There were way more eyeballs on that, because how many people go to someone's house? How many people are hanging out with someone watching the fight? There were so many people talking about it. I literally went to go get, because I love tequila when I drink. So I went to go get these. It's like a 4-pack of Cutwaters. These like tequila margaritas, like mango. Great. Like 12.5%. Anyways, when I went to go buy those, literally everyone in the whole shop was talking about it. This white bitch in front of me, the two people behind the counter, this dude in front of me who looked a little homeless, I ain't gonna lie. They were all talking about it. My kid won't watch it, but I'm like, you drink Prime, so what's the difference? Like, like they were all talking about it. So if you see that in your day-to-day and you see the numbers online and they come back saying, hey, we had 108 million viewers at one point watch this, you already know if this is the start, there's only. Imagine the TV deals and the rights that they could own with these future sports in the next couple of years, whether it's college football, the NFL. I think they're even doing NFL games this Christmas. But MMA, there are endless options for them. I haven't even talked about basketball, hockey, baseball. Endless options for them. So I'm interested to see how well they move forward in this space, because that was their first time doing that with a sporting event. I know they had the stand-up roast of Tom Brady live or some shit, but there was a lot of buffering issues. Apparently, if you watched it like a couple of minutes back, you were fine, but they'll figure it out. But moving forward, I think that that's probably the way to go. Less pay-per-view models, or even if they sold it for $15, $20, I think a lot of people would be okay with buying that. But a 60, 65, 70, 80, $100 pay-per-view, that's pretty outrageous. That's pretty outrageous. So, last thing I do want to cover. I want to talk about these upcoming fights is not this weekend, but the weekend after that. All right. We have some really, really good bangers. Great bouts coming up. Shit. Not even in a couple weeks. Next month or next couple of months is going to be great. We got Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes. Okay. Over in Bellator. It's going to be beautiful. Just watched the promo about it earlier. It's going to be in like January. But that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is Ian Gary and Shavkat co-main event. UFC 310. It's going to be great. Not this weekend, next weekend. And you got Alex Pantoja and Kai Asakura. That, bro, coming from Ryzen. Dude's had the belt a couple times. To be able to go win in Japan, if you can come here straight and get a title shot, that alone shows you that the company is backing you. And then if you went and came straight from Ryzen being the champion, relinquish the belt, come and get an opportunity in your UFC debut, and then go get the UFC championship, that would be a fucking story for Kai Asakura. An amazing feat for him. And just to be able to take out Alex Pantoja, I mean, Pantoja's been gone through the division, beat these contenders 2-3 times over. So it's very interesting to see the new blood and to see how much of a contender Kai Asakura could actually be coming from a Ryzen. And people are asking, he was a 135er champ, but going down to flyweight, apparently over in Japan, those guys fight at a weight class a little bit above. So it's a little normal for them to kind of cut down to a weight class below when they head over to the UFC. A couple of people were talking about. So I wouldn't necessarily be that worried, but I am very, very interested because the same way that they opened up MSG with Mauricio Rufy, they don't just give anyone a UFC title shot in their debut of the organization coming from Japan. Like, that's not just, not everyone gets that type of fucking treatment. So having this excitement, this build, this hype for Kai Asakura, very interested to see how much he actually lives up to it, walking in, having your debut in the UFC be a championship bout. Like, dude, that's a lot of pressure. But before that, we got Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think I said it correctly. I hope I said it correctly. Or is, Boogeyman's going to get my ass? I'm just kidding. Both of them undefeated. Young prospects, not for a title, not for an interim, not for anything. All bragging rights. All record. Whose O has got to go? I don't know. It's going to be a great one. Ian Gary, short, late notice. Shavkat, who's already supposed to fight Bilal here in December, I think in Vegas. And Ian was supposed to fight Joaquin Buckley a couple of weeks after, whatever. Regardless, Ian Gary gets his opportunity. They've trained together. There have been some light sparring footage to come out about the two. Don't know how much I would read into it. It just seems like they're playing and touching. That seemed fucking weird. They're throwing light. They're just touching each other with, not a lot of force, not a lot of power behind it. Anyway, I'm very interested to see, can Ian Gary live up to the hype? Can the Irishman be a new Irish legend? Can he bring that mythical crowd back to the UFC? Right now, apparently, because of Conor McGregor, obviously, being the pride and joy of Ireland and all of the controversy that is surrounding him right now with his, assault case or whatnot. A lot of craziness. That the UFC Irish fans are a little hesitant to get behind Ian Gary, apparently, or at least he hasn't necessarily gotten that fan base love from them. I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen post this fight, because if Ian Gary does lose, it's not necessarily a win-win, but you're put in a position against the guy where no one thinks you're going to win. The favorite, he's the favorite, not you, and you took it on short notice. So at the end of the day, the pressure is on Shavkat. He's coming from a title shot. He's got the opportunity. Bilal had to pull out. This isn't for an interim because apparently they know when Bilal is going to return. Either way, this one is fireworks. And anyone that will tell you different is going to fucking lie to you, because how often do we get two undefeated prospects who've trained together in one of the deepest divisions at 170 in a co-main, non-title, non-interim fight? This is going to be fucking fireworks. We're going to finally see who is who says they are, who is what they say they are, and the results are going to show that night. It's going to be a great one. Ultimately, Colby ducked Ian, and we all know, because if you said you weren't going to fight in December, but you'd fight a couple weeks later against Joaquin Buckley, we all know why. All right. Love and appreciate the support. See y'all in the next one. Let me know what y'all think. I'm going to be posting this as clips and videos. Hope to see you there. So, peace.